You would think we were cheering for the Jets or something because we're both wearing white for the whiteout.
Oh yeah, mine's actually a light pink.
There's no cheering in the press box anyway, right?
Certainly
So,
not.
and you won't be in Winnipeg. You'll be doing it remotely from Edmonton. So,
Yeah,
as
that's
much as that isn't what any sports writer wants to do, you want to
oh,
obviously be on site.
yeah.
However, it is what it is,
Yeah.
and here we are. It's the playoffs, and one of the keys to success for the Oilers obviously has to be the continued scoring prowess of McDavid and Draisaitl. But you'd think, as in some insurance, secondary scoring, you'd like to see it make more of an appearance since the stakes are higher. Because you'd have to think Winnipeg and any team that's going to play the Oilers, whether the Oilers get past the Jets or not, are going to be zeroing in on McDavid and Draisaitl and figuring out a way to stop them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the McDavid and Draisaitl are you come to just bank on them. You know that they're going to deliver. You know that they're going to show up. But I think and I hate to make comparisons between this year's playoffs and what happened in the bubble last year because that was just a freak thing. You're coming back off of 3 months off, but Edmonton's top three put up 23 points in 5 games, 4 games, and they still lost. So you have to have balance going into the playoffs. There's no question about it. And that's why it's kind of so important for that line of Neil Chason and Ryan McLeod if that kind of turns into something special because two superstars even at top speed in the playoffs I don't know how far that could take you but I don't know that the Oilers are in that position because down the stretch here we're seeing Cahoon's chipping in, Chason's chipping in, Neil's chipping in, Nugent Hopkins scoring a little bit more. They're getting great production from their defense. So for a team that is 22-7-1 in its last 30 games, there's not a ton of holes. You kind of tend to over-examine things when you're in Edmonton, but they're a good team that's playing really well, firing on all cylinders. So you would assume that just steady as she goes into the first round of the playoffs should be enough to get them through.
One factor the Oilers have going for them, and maybe this replaces the lack of secondary scoring we've seen from the forward ranks this year, but it's their defense. Their
So
defense. Darnell Nurse, Tyson Berry. Yeah, on the power play. We're talking about power play for some of those points, but the defense has definitely chipped in more so than in recent memory.
they're an integral part of the offense. They throw Ethan Bear in there. They have a number of guys who can transport the puck, who can work it on the power play, who can get the shot through, who are thinking offense for an outlet pass. Like, how many years have the Oilers been saying we need defensemen who can move the puck up to those forwards and hit them with speed so they can get, generate offense off the rush and off the transition. And they have that now, and you see how valuable it is. Like Tyson Berry is leading the league in scoring by defensemen. Darnell Nurse is having a career year. Ethan Bear is very quietly just elevating his game at the right time. So, it's the defense often and for a lot of years was kind of the soft spot on this team. Going into the playoffs this year, it isn't. They've held up very well, and then you throw in a couple of guys like Adam Larson and Kulikov, who are really solid, hard end guys in their own zone, and I think their defensive package shapes up really well. Certainly better than Winnipeg's going into this series.
Now, when it comes to thinking defense, and this is just as true for the forwards, if not as well as the blue liners, but turnovers. I mean, turnovers are a killer for any team. But we've seen defensive miscues on the blue line. Offense makes up for that, but that's something that the Oilers are going to have to pay a lot more attention to as the playoffs start.
Yeah, I think like you even hearing that from them. You talk to these guys every day, and they're just blank faced, totally focused. They are 100% buying into the way they have to play and how they need to manage the game down the stretch and into the playoffs. And they've been really good at it. Like if it's a third period and it's a 1 goal game, they know how to close that out. They know how to smarten up and tighten things up and close out a 1-0 lead or a 1 goal lead. They know how to if the game is close, they don't panic. If they're down by one, they don't panic. They do the right thing so they can generate the offense that they know they have to tie that game up. So they're a much more mature team. They're a much more resilient and poised team when games are close down the stretch, which is very likely all they're going to see in the playoffs. It's probably going to be a 1 goal game in the third period from now until the Oilers are out of it. So the way that they've handled themselves in that situation is reason to believe that they've finally got things figured out a little bit. They might not all, going forward, who knows how far they go. They might not always be the best team, but I think they have a sense of how to play playoff hockey now, and we're seeing that down the stretch. And they're winning like crazy. Like it's going into this series, it's going to be the old, one team is firing on all cylinders on a roll. The other team is going to have to flick that switch, like they say that you can't do. I'm sure some teams have done it, and that's going to be the big challenge. Is game one is to see how everybody looks when you wipe the slate to 0-0-0 for everybody, and see what's what. I think that'll be a real fascinating game. Game one of this playoff series to me is just massive.
And finally, third key to success. Is that three? Maybe I've said four. Mike Smith. He's had a fantastic season that harkens back to what we would have seen about a decade ago or so when he played with the Arizona Coyotes. He's 21-6-2, which is amazing. He started playing at the beginning of February after missing the first month with an injury. Every team that hopes to have playoff success needs to have a goalie that they can trust to stop pucks.
Yeah, he's like, say what you will, McDavid's had a fantastic year, and Tyson Barrie and Darnell Nurse and Draisaitl. You can go through the list of all the players who are, Puljujärvi are having outstanding seasons. The Oilers are not where they are if Mike Smith hasn't done what Mike Smith is doing. He is legit this season anyway, one of the top 5 goalies in the NHL, and across the ice. Initially, when this thing would start up, you'd say, well, the Jets have the advantage because they have a Vezina winner and Connor Hellebuyck, but it's something's wonky there. In 6 of his last 12 games, he's had a save percentage of below 900. He's also had 3 shutouts, so you're never sure what you're going to get on that front. The goaltending battle is going to be, again, where we saw last year in the playoffs again. Hate to keep going back to the bubble, but the Oilers didn't get the goaltending last year, and they were out of it in a hurry despite their top 3 guys playing fantastically. So again, it's going to come down to Smith and Hellebuyck, and that's going to be the backbone of either side in this series, and everything beyond that will stem from how well they play. But the way Smith is going right now and the way Hellebuyck is going right now, if it's not a coin toss in net, it's advantage Oilers.